Amid soaring energy prices and with a recession looming, some Germans have had enough.
I think of all these people who now worry, barely making it through the day, barely making it through the night. We need to intervene immediately.
Protesters here in Berlin are demanding a more just distribution of funds to tackle the rising cost of living, fuelled by the war in Ukraine. But it's a problem some say could have been predicted. An over-reliance on Russian energy only became apparent after Moscow invaded and turned off the supply.
We woke up on the 24th of February and say, oh, our dependency is so large, it's really hard to change course now. So we need to reduce our dependencies.
Now, Olaf Scholz is travelling to Beijing with a slew of business executives in tow, in the hopes of reinforcing economic cooperation with China. It's left some wondering whether Germany has learned its lesson. Surging tensions between the West and Beijing have prompted the EU to reconsider its ties with China. But the German leader appears reluctant to abandon an established policy of economic cooperation worth hundreds of billions of euros. China is Germany's biggest trading partner, and more than 1 million jobs rely directly on China.
China is important as a market, especially for large German corporations in automotive, in chemicals.
But it's the investment that German companies have made in China that are really very significant. So whether it's Volkswagen or BASF, the chemical company, or many others, they've got very substantial operations in China, and it's not easy for them to simply turn around and cancel all of that.
Any breakdown in the Berlin-Beijing relationship could have profound economic consequences at a time when the country can ill afford it, leaving Chancellor Scholz in a difficult position.
We're heading into a recession and a crisis due to the war, inflation, the energy crisis, and he doesn't want to shock the system even more by, pushing too aggressively on the China dependencies.
Meanwhile, top intelligence officials warn there's a high risk Germany could become economically compromised by its dependence on China. Members of Mr. Scholz's own coalition are publicly calling for a stronger stance.
Das heißt, wir müssen zuallererst aus den Fehlern.
We must first and foremost learn from the mistakes of our Russia policy of the last decades. Let me be clear, one-sided economic dependence makes it possible to politically blackmail us.
The sensitivity over the issue came to a head over a proposition for a Chinese consortium to buy a stake in a Hamburg port. Despite strong opposition from within government, Scholz's cabinet relented and approved the deal.
The participation of a Chinese state-owned company is a danger for Germany. We have just seen the effects in the energy crisis when Germany enters into deals with authoritarian, autocratic states.
Mr. Scholz defended his decision, saying the 25% stake won't compromise Germany's security. But critics say it's yet another sign the Chancellor is soft on China. With Vladimir Putin's autocratic credentials now plain to see, many Germans worry Chancellor Scholz risks repeating the mistake of his predecessors with China.
We shouldn't assume that these are economic pragmatists at the helm of China, but these are also power-hungry, ideologically driven individuals, especially Xi Jinping, and we do need to decrease our dependencies already.